Man, there are not many things that get me more excited than spring bear hunting in Canada. And I've got two of them this year, and the first one's about to start. I get to combine it with fishing, which is really exciting also. We're going to be bear hunting starting on the opening weekend of fishing season in Ontario, and this is a do-it-yourself hunt. But I'm also getting my little puddle jumper boat ready. This is a boat that I use for taking into some remote lakes in Canada. So I'm going to take that up on my second trip. I'm going to actually have to take two trips up to this Ontario bear hunt. And the first trip is just going to be 3 days of baiting. I'm going up Saturday. We're going to bait Saturday afternoon, Sunday, and then I'm going to come back Monday. And then I got work to do at home and lots to do. And then I'm going back up that Friday and going to go ahead and bear hunt. There's 3 of us that have tags, and I think there's 8 guys altogether, or 7 guys and 1 woman. Brian's bringing his wife Doris. This should be pretty exciting because this hunt has an objective that's even more than just the bear hunt and shooting a bear and the fishing. We are actually going to take these bears apart. 3 people have tags, and we are going to take them apart and show you the wound channel of the arrows and show you exactly where the bears were hit and how the arrow passed through the animal and what it hit. And we're going to learn a lot about how to ethically and quickly kill a black bear with an arrow. We're going to talk about broadheads. I've got the anatomy hunter, he calls himself, Brian Johnson, and he is doing some tremendous scientific work on broadheads and on wound channels and on where to shoot animals. And I'm excited to involve him. As you know, if you've watched any videos on this channel in the past, I'm all about understanding where to shoot a bear, and this talk about the middle of the middle and things about broadheads and things like that. Well, we are going to actually scientifically analyze a lot of this stuff, and this is stuff that has not been done before. So it's something that I know that you're really going to like, and you're going to learn a lot from it. So it is the middle of May here, and it is spring, and I'm loving it, and I'm excited about the bear hunt and the fishing. And we're going to just, this first video, I'm going to walk you through the process of getting everything ready, and then we're going to go up there and run some baits and put some cameras out. Hopefully by the end of this video, I may already have some trail camera pictures for you. And then the next video is going to start with the actual going up there to hunt. But as far as the fishing goes, I'm also going to put a couple of videos on my wilderness fishing channel. It's called Wilder Fish. If you want to subscribe to it or just look at some of the videos on there, it's called Wilder Fish, as in wilderness, but Wilder Fish. And so you might want to check that out too. We had a really short night last night. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to leave home until 11:30, and so I drove up to my bear camp where I had everything ready to go. The trailer was all loaded and everything like that. All I had to do was hook up the truck, and got a few hours of sleep, got up at 5 o'clock and pulled out and headed to Canada. Well, I got through the border without a hitch. That's good news. We had to do things differently this year. They keep changing the rules on bringing bear bait into Ontario, and in fact, if you watch the video from 2 years ago where it was just a total fiasco, and they have continued to change the rules, but I covered all my bases this year. And what I did was I had a receipt for 4 barrels of trail mix, and then I actually hired a broker to process the paperwork for me, and they charged me $163 to bring $500 worth of trail mix across. And the broker filed the paperwork, and then they had a barcode that I printed out, and when I got to the border I showed them the barcode, and they processed everything. They went out, they looked in the barrels and saw the trail mix, and then she said the only thing you did wrong was that you did not have the words "not for human consumption" written on the barrels. So she actually gave me a marker, and I went out and marked the barrels "not for human consumption." Then she just stamped everything, and off I went, and it just was like quick and easy. I don't think I was there for 15 minutes at the most. I'm less than 2 hours from Camp Quetico, where I'm going, and then we're going to go out, and the owner of the camp is going to take us out and show us some spots where he has had bear baits in the past, and we're going to decide, you know, if we're going to use those spots or pick our own. It might be a combination of both. I think we're going to do 5 baits for 3 people, and we'll just see how it goes. So we will talk to you once I arrive, and we'll get a look at the camp. And I hear it's really nice. Brian and Doris are already there, and we're gonna get in the woods and get some baits out yet today.
You can run the baits we assign to you, but you
Can't receive any money.
yeah, that's right. Unless you get a
See how, notice how it's getting cool? Wow. There's a martin box, trapper box. Oh yeah, it's right here. I like this one a lot for getting bears on it in a hurry, because you're up on a ridge and your scent will travel down to the water on both sides. So we have 6 spots that he showed us, and I was thinking if I didn't like them, I might want to go try to find some of my own, which he said is fine, but honestly, like, I would say all of these spots look good to me, because they all have the things that I'm always looking for.
Okay.
I mean, it's obvious the person who picked these spots knows what he's doing, okay? They got water right there. A lot of them are up on a ridge where you'll get good flow and of the scent and everything like that. So, but I don't think we need all 6 of them. And Premier 1 and Premier 2 are only half a mile apart. And then Pine Cone 1 and Pine Cone 2 are only a half a mile apart.
So that gives us 4
So
basically right now.
I think we should just do 4.
Okay.
And I think 4 is probably gonna be enough, and it's 10 to 4 o'clock right now.
So we'd have to fly if we're gonna just throw bait there.
And the thing is, Pine Cone is you know,
Is first.
is up there, and then you got 3 of them. I don't know if we got time to do 3 before dark. And unless we do, like you say, let's just maybe a hit and
Dump and
run.
go.
What if we just took a bucket to each of them and sprayed them and put up a trail camera and then go back tomorrow?
I like that. I like that idea. We'd be in and out, it'd be fast, we're gonna get to see what happened.
I think maybe that's the way to go, and do the 4. So we'll do Pine Cone 1, which is the one with all the cedars, and it was real cool.
The
and
pretty
damp.
one, yep.
That one I really liked. That's one that might take a little bit longer to have it hit, because I think the scent's gonna kind of pool.
But he said there's a bear already there this year, he said. That's what he said. That it was
Well,
fresh to me, he thought.
a bear had scratched that tree right by the bait,
Yeah,
and it looked fresh to me too. So if we do Pine Cone 1 and Premier 2, and then the Rocky one,
Yeah.
and then 65K.
Is that the one with the 2 barrels that are laying there?
No, that's
That's the
Premier
one.
1, but
That's the one we'd eliminate,
I think we'd eliminate that one.
okay?
We're,
That's right off the road and it's not as pretty either.
well, and it doesn't,
Aesthetically.
it doesn't have much going for it as far as, the way I like to lay out, like where the tree is and
Okay,
stuff like
yeah.
that. Plus, it's got that hill where you gotta get a bear.
Back up.
I don't know if the 3 of us could get a bear up that hill if it was a 300 pounder. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
might have to quarter it up or something. So I think these 4,
That sounds good.
and I think what we should do is we'll just take a bucket of bait and take the oil with the Gold Rush and a trail camera, and we could just boom, but we just go do these 4 and we can get them all 4 done
We
before
just put a
dark.
5 bucket of 5 gallon bait out. How
Yeah,
much we put just,
I just,
so we just take 4 or 5 gallon buckets. Now I've got my oil,
we'll do the oil.
I'll go in one vehicle then,
Well, we should be able to get it all in one vehicle.
okay?
And we can take mine or yours, I can unhook the trailer. Do you have
Okay.
room in the back seat of yours or for me or?
What do we have for the back seat, Doris? Yeah, there'd be room for him to sit there. We've gotta take stuff out and we'll make room for stuff in the back. Right now, we got all that meat there. So if nothing else, before we leave, when you're doing it, we'll get that froze and take that out tomorrow morning. Or whatever you wanna do with the meat, cause that's been out now for 24 hours.
Yeah, it
was frozen.
needs to either be used or frozen tonight.
Well, we can put 2 boxes in and we can take 2 boxes and throw some of that out there too.
It'd be nice to be able to go out there in one trip, walk to each bait and
Yeah.
back in one
Yeah.
trip.
Oh, I see, not have to come back to the truck.
Not have to come back to the truck, although,
I can do that quick, I'll run.
so,
Good.
all right, we got a plan. Well, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, and we spent yesterday, holy smokes, we traveled a lot of miles yesterday. I think, you know, I got up here about 9 o'clock in the morning after only getting 3 hours of sleep. So we all jumped in the truck with Barry here, and he wanted to show us some bait locations that he has that haven't been baited for 6 to 8 years or so. And Barry took us around to these bait spots, and it took over 4 hours to go to all these, and they're a long ways from here. The first one is an hour from here on forest roads, and then the farthest one is an hour and 40 minutes from here. That's a long ways away, and the interesting thing is I brought this side by side, but all of the baits are within 100 yards of the road where you can drive a truck. You know, my thought was we maybe would use a couple of his, and then I would want to pick my own locations, but after we looked at 6 of his baits, I'm like, you know, these are good baits. They're good spots, and they've been used before. It's been years since they've been baited, but whoever chose those spots pretty much knew what they were doing. They're in good locations, and so we decided to go back and bait 4 of them yesterday afternoon. So that's what we did, put trail cameras on them. We just kind of did a hit and run bait where we carried a couple buckets of trail mix in, and we put about 50 pounds of beef scraps on them, put the trail camera on them, sprayed the Gold Rush. We didn't cut logs and everything like that. We found some logs and from before, but they are pretty rotten, and we're gonna have to go back in there and check them and cut the logs and trim the trails better and stuff like that. We ended up getting back here well after dark. I think it was getting close to 10 o'clock, and then we sat around and talked and strategized a little bit and stuff like that, and then so we ended up going to bed like 11:30 again, and then got up at 6, and so I'm lacking sleep here, but kind of reevaluating exactly how we're going to do this. My plan was to check them today and then either go home this afternoon or leave first thing in the morning, depending on when we got done this afternoon. But we pretty much, we want to be done baiting by 4 o'clock or so, and we can't hardly run them all in 4 hours because they're so far away. But that's what we're going to try to do today, and then I'll make a decision afterwards. I want to see if some of them are hit, and if some of them are hit and I got trail camera pictures and we know they're working, then I feel comfortable going home today. After we're going to put some pastries and more trail mix on them and then cut logs to cover them up a little better. Otherwise, I'll either just wait and go home in the morning, or I will run the baits again tomorrow and then go home. But I got a lot of work to do right now, and I'm coming back up on, today's Sunday, I'm coming back up on Friday. So anyway, sorry, I'm just really kind of rambling here, but I got all this trail mix and pastries and stuff like that we got to get in the woods here today. We're here at Camp Quetico, and it's beautiful country. I love this part of Ontario. I love the boreal forest. We're seeing a lot of wildlife, and we saw 2 bull moose and a cow moose yesterday, and lots of grouse and rabbits and snowshoe hares. Looking forward to doing some fishing when I come back up here too. So here we go. Well, it's Monday, and it is a cold morning, 39 degrees, and I decided to run these baits on the side-by-side. I think my ears are about to fall off. I've gone 34 kilometers so far, only 8 kilometers right now to the first bait. I unloaded my side-by-side right where the pavement ends, which will be 73 to 74 kilometers each way, so almost 150 kilometers, or just under 100 miles, 90 some miles round trip with this side-by-side. I'm pretty well bundled up here because of how cold it is. We had quite a cold front come through during the night, but I just kind of decided to stop and take a little break here by this lake. Right, beautiful spot right back off the road here. So we had one bear on the bait yesterday, so this bear was on the bait 18 hours, I guess, after we put the bait out. That was the only one of the 4 that was hit, but I'm hoping we have a couple more hit this morning, and then I got to head home today. So I'm deciding whether or not to keep this side-by-side up here. I was planning to take it home, and then I thought, you know what, I'll just run these on the side-by-side one time, because these roads you could just go faster on a ATV than you can driving a truck. You know, maybe I'll decide to leave it up here. I'll have to have somebody pull it home for me at the end of the hunt because I'm going to bring a boat up with my other pickup. So let's get to that first bait, and hopefully I'll be showing you some more trail camera pictures of bears. Well, it's starting to warm up anyway. It's 11:30. I'm back to the truck and got everything loaded up here. We did not have any hits on the baits today, unfortunately, and that sow that we bumped off the bait yesterday did not come back. I think she will be back. I also think these other baits will get hit. I'm kind of surprised that we haven't had more hits. I thought we'd probably have at least one or two in the first couple days. One bait is down in a low spot where it could take the bears a while to find it because of poor scent dispersal, but it's a great spot once they do find it. Anyway, the sun came out and the wind changed direction, so all of that forest fire smoke that we had yesterday that was fogging everything up is gone, and I think that will also help the bears find the baits a little bit better because of that smoke smell that we were dealing with yesterday. So I'm going to take the side-by-side home. I don't think we really need it, and I'm going to bring up my Toyota pickup with a little boat for the next weekend, and hopefully when we come back these baits are all going to be hit and cleaned up, hopefully, and we'll put some more bait on them and go shoot some bears. But anyway, thanks for joining me on this video. We got a couple more to come. Even though it's a little discouraging right now, I feel like we're going to have a positive outcome. So we'll see you on the next video. My 14-foot puddle jumper boat, and I got my backwoods bear truck, and we're headed back to Atikokan, Ontario early tomorrow morning. I'm going to try to be there by noon, so that means leaving pretty early. I'm hoping to get a couple of baits checked and get a couple of stands hung tomorrow afternoon. So Brian got up there last night and he said he's going to go out and check the baits today and possibly hang a stand, but it's raining up there right now, so I'm not sure what he's going to end up doing. We'll probably find out tonight when he gets back into cell service. But we only had one bear hit the bait before I left, but that was Monday and this is Thursday, so by the time I get there Friday, hopefully all those baits will have been hit and have bears regularly visiting them. So we're really hoping for a good outcome on this. We got 3 guys with tags and hoping to fill all 3 of them. It's really pretty country up there. I just love it up there. I really love spring bear hunting, and the fishing is going to be good. So spring bear hunting in Ontario, let's go. I left home about, I think, right around 5, a little after 5. And Brian already called me this morning. It's 6:30. And he set out 4 new baits yesterday in the rain, which is kind of a surprise that he went ahead and did that. But we have either 3 or 4 bears, he can't tell. I'm going to get up there and check the trail cameras and figure out how many bears it is, but 2 baits are going. out of the 4, and he thinks there's 3 or 4 different bears. So he went ahead and kind of panicked, he said, and went out and put 4 more baits. So that's a big surprise to me, but typically it's pretty useless to put out baits in the rain, but I can see why he did it, and it's probably going to end up being good that he did. You know, he's just not the kind of guy that's going to sit in the cabin and stare at the walls. So, you know, he went out in the cold rain and got soaked and put these baits out, and we're going to go up and check them today. I'm expecting, if I get through the border easily without any trouble, I'm expecting to be there before noon and unhook this boat and head to the woods and try to catch up to him out in the woods somewhere and look at the baits that he put out, hit him with some Gold Rush, and see if we can get them going. We just need 3 bears for 3 people. So weather-wise, things have been kind of stacked against us with this consistent rains, and you know, we had that smoke, which can't be good for having the bears find the baits because of the smoke smell. And I mean, if you can smell it, you can't even imagine how bad it must be for the bears. And it's hazy, but that's pretty well moved out, it looks like, and hopefully those fires are out. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to getting in the woods and seeing where Brian put these baits. He's never done this before, so it should be interesting. And hopefully we get 1 or 2 of these new ones going too. We've got time. Tomorrow is opening day of fishing, and it's also the first day of our hunt. So I got to decide which baits to hunt tomorrow. Brian put up 1 stand yesterday on the bait that has 2 or 3 bears on it, and he's going out this morning to put up another one, and then we'll decide what to do from there once I get out in the woods and look things over, and we'll create a plan.
Hey, Mr. Bernie.
Hey, I got a plan. Are you ready?
Good.
Okay.
I'm all ears.
Okay. So you got 4 trail camera SD cards right there. 2 of them have bears on them and 2 don't. So take one that does not have bears on it and switch it out with pine cone when you go in to put the stand in there. And then we'll have the most recent information on that one.
Gotcha.
Okay.
We figured if we're going to be doing this, we might as well go closer instead of farther. So I'm thinking there might even be one closer than Pinecone.
Oh, south of the intersection.
I'm thinking there might be.
Okay,
Doris has everything marked. She's in the shower right now, but
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead and check that one, and then put the stand up on Pinecone, and then check the one around the corner from Pinecone, and then I'll just meet you at the lake probably, I think about 12:30 is my best guess. Just take the first right that goes off into the bush, and a couple 100 yards back in there, you'll come to Premier Lake. All right, I'm headed out into the bush. It is 10 minutes to 12, so I'm running a little bit ahead. And I'm going to meet Brian and Jacob and Doris, and we're going to go check these baits. All right, I'm in the stand here. I'm tucked really nice into a spruce tree here with a lot of good background cover. It feels really good. I'm going to check the range to the bait down there, but I think I'm looking at about 16 to 17 yards, which is ideal. And I'm 16, 17 feet high, so I got a really good shot angle here. This bait's just getting hammered right now, and I have multiple bears on this bait. I think that there's 4 bears on this bait, and we are so far, I mean, we're an hour and 45 minutes from camp, and so when we got done running the baits, right now it's 20 after 3, I'm like, I might as well just get in a stand instead of driving all the way back there and waiting until tomorrow. I got a super good feeling about this. I feel like I'm probably going to see bears tonight. And there's a sow and a smaller boar that I probably will not shoot, and there's, I think, 2 bigger boars that I will definitely shoot if I see them. I got really good visibility here because the buds are just starting to come on the trees down low. I mean, some of the poplars and aspens have leaves coming on them, but down below the leaves are just starting to come on, so I got pretty good visibility to distances here where I should be able to see the bears coming. So I might as well get settled in, and got a long time till dark, 6 hours. Ooh. 6:30. I've been here a little over 3 hours and got close to 3 hours to go. Lots of squirrels, a few birds, and nothing else. The temperature has really dropped and it's kind of drizzling a little bit, so I'm wishing I brought more clothes, and unfortunately my rain gear's back at the cabin. Well, we're going to stick it out here. It could happen any time. Probably got 10-15 minutes of light left here, and I have not seen a bear. Pretty disappointing. Well, it's only the first day. Well, the rain's letting up here, so I got in the stand. I pulled the card on the camera, although I don't have any way to check it and really look at the pictures. I could see that there's definitely been bears here today during the daylight. And the bait's opened up, the logs are strewn all around. So I feel really, really good about tonight. And it looks like this rain squall's pretty well past us. And then maybe the sun's going to come out. I actually got really pretty sweaty getting in here, but hopefully I'll be all right. The wind is different than last night. It's quite a bit stronger, but it's still not from a bad direction. Had a fun day on the water today. Had a good day fishing and checking baits today, and boy, wouldn't it be great to top it off with an arrow slipping right through a bear. Oh, the wind is blowing across to this side of the bait, which is good. It changed as soon as the sun came out. So it's not bad, because the bears I'm expecting to come from that direction. Last night, right at last light, like 10 minutes before the end of legal shooting light, maybe not even that, probably between 5 and 10 minutes, I had a bear right here, about 20 feet from the base of my tree. And he was so close that I could actually hear his feet in the leaves, and then I heard him pop his jaws a couple times. And he did not come in, but he was coming from this direction over here, so who knows. 6:30 now, not a cloud in the sky, but the wind is just screaming. Like, I gotta hold onto this tree with both hands to keep from getting bucked off. Well, it's 5 minutes to 9, and the legal shooting light's 9:16, but this wind is still just ripping. And now it's blowing right over the top of the bait, so it doesn't make any sense to stay in here right now if it's not going to lay down in the last half hour here, and it's blown right at the bait. It's kind of crazy to stay in here, so. Yeah, I'm out of here. Try again tomorrow. Very windy again. Wind has just been howling all day, but it's actually starting to lay down. It's 3:45, and it's supposed to by 6 be down to 5 miles an hour, so I hope that's the case. It's straight north wind right now, which is much better than it was last night for this bait. I probably stayed here longer than I should have last night, but I just kept hoping that it would lay down at sunset, and it did not. So I hope I didn't do any long-term serious damage to this bait, but we got multiple bears here that are hitting it all the time, day and night, so there's always a chance. We got a lot more bears on baits now. You know, we've got one since the beginning that we've had a very killable, nice 200-pound male that's been on bait every single evening. I could have killed him every day, but Brian just really wants to save him for his son, who has never shot a bear before. And he says, I don't care, I don't need a big one, I'll shoot a small one. Well, we got plenty of small ones that he could shoot, but Brian's pretty adamant that he wants to save that bear for his son, and I'm fine with that. It's, you know, he's never shot a bear before, so I'll take my chances here. And we've got multiple other bears, including a sow with cubs, and we got several yearlings on baits that are very killable. But I'm really hoping there's a big one on this bait. It's a bit of a long shot, but that's why I'm here. So we got 2 other guys coming in tonight, and they'll be hunting tomorrow, and I really would like to fill this tag now so I can concentrate. 2 reasons: I could concentrate on helping those guys get their bears, and then the other thing is there's 80 to 90% chance of showers for the next 4 days after today. So we're going to settle in here for a long sit. And hope this wind dies down. You can screw that up any worse than I just did. I saw the black coming through the bushes over there, and I switched on the GoPro, and I also switched on my main camera. But then he looked right at me, and I didn't have a chance to push play on the main camera. Then he came right to the bait. He just rolled right in like he wasn't afraid at all. And then I just completely forgot about pushing play on the main camera. Got my bow off the hanger. He turned broadside and I drew. And when I drew, he got a whiff of me because the wind is blowing right towards the bait. He got a whiff of me, and so he went right back behind the bait and he sat there for a few minutes. And all this time I'm filming him with the main camera that's not even on. It's on but not recording. And I don't know if I got any of it on this GoPro I'm talking into right now. So after a little bit, I mean, he's winding me, his nose is going up in the air. He steps back to the bait, so I draw. I had to let down, of course, so I drew again. And when I drew again, the arrow, the knock fell off the string, and the arrow hit the stand and clattered to the ground, and he just bolted out of here. Are you serious right now? I totally screwed that up. And Bear's back there thinking, what kind of a rookie am I dealing with? Man. Here comes the sow. 200-pound male, or just whichever one I get a chance at. You gotta be kidding me. Freaking arrow. And then I missed. And my last arrow.
Jay, I was videoing Bernie.
I almost hit a bull moose, and then I got hit by a cow moose. So I hope my door isn't dented in too bad where she hit me, but I can't tell in the dark.
The story gets more interesting.
Oh,
All right.
That's a small part of it, and the moose is a small part of it. I actually almost ran out of arrows tonight. and I did not get a bear. So here,
You're kidding.
you want to hear the whole story? Because it's going to take a while.
No, not. Oh.
Okay. So the first thing was about,
Whatever you do it.
I don't know, 8:15 or so, the big one came in.
The big one,
The big,
the 300 pounder.
yeah,
How big do you think it was?
it was pushing 300 pounds. He came in and came to the bait, and my wind was blowing right at the bait. So I drew my bow. He was nice and broadside, and then he smelled me, took off.
CJ, well, you got to be ready.
And
See
then
what I mean?
what he did was he came in behind the bait, and he sat there and was sniffing me. Okay. Well, sometimes when you let your bow down, your knot comes loose a little bit, just enough, and so he eventually came back to the bait again.
Oh no!
I drew my bow, and the arrow fell off and clanked and hit the stand, and he's gone.
I'm not supposed to laugh, Bernie.
Oh, this gets way, way.
I'm not
this
laughing,
gets
Bernie.
way- I mean, that's. So I'm thinking, okay, there's a chance this bear might come back because I got him over an hour before dark. Okay, but this bear has been chasing this sow back and forth. We got all these pictures on trail camera of this bear, this big one, and the sow chasing each other. So I'm thinking the best thing that could happen to me would be if the sow comes in and she's at the bait, and then maybe he'll see her there, smell her there, and come back. Well, a little while later, I hear the teeth popping and the chuffing back in the trees, and I'm like, okay, good. Here comes the sow. So all of a sudden, I could see the two of them back in there, just black, two blobs of black, and then she walks in, and it's not the sow, it's a huge sow. And like yesterday when I looked at the pictures, I was looking at that sow going, gee, she looks really big in this picture. Then her face looks a little bit different, Well, it turns out it's not the same sow. So I saw 4 bears tonight, and only one of them was the original 4, and that was the big one that came in first. So anyway, so this huge sow comes in. I'm like, that's a big sow. She's well over 200 pounds. And the other bear just kept circling around. Well, pretty soon he walked through an opening, and I'm like, that's not the same bear that was here a little while ago. That's a smaller bear. So now we're at 3 bears. And this bear just kept going around, and then one time she just chased him off, and they were gone for a while. And then she came back.
Were they popping and stuff, making
Yeah,
vocal
I mean,
noises?
fighting and popping.
Did you get on video?
I got a lot of video, yeah. He came around, and he was over here, and I'm thinking, well, I'm going to shoot him if I get a chance. Okay, well, then he stepped out.
How big was he?
He was 200-ish, maybe a little more. So he stepped out right there and looked up at me, and
How close was he? Was he at the bait
he
or?
was halfway between me and the bait, so it was 8 yards.
Ooh.
And she's standing there broadside, so I'm thinking, you know what? I mean, I got a bird in hand, and he's just working around. I'm just going to go ahead and she's big. I'm going to shoot her. So I draw, and when I came to full draw, the lighted knock came out of the end of the arrow, and that arrow clanked on the stand and went to the ground.
This is 2 different arrows.
Oh, yeah. So I'm down to 2 now out of 4. Well, she didn't run off. She just looked up, and she stayed there for quite a while. And then, when you trim that, when you stand up, there's one limb that's just above your head, and the spruce kind of hang down. I didn't think it was ever going to be a big deal.
Yep.
Turns out it was a big deal.
Oh, we got a third story.
She finally gives me another shot. She's nice and broadside, and I draw my bow, and when I shoot, I'm like, something's wrong. Something went wrong when I shot. And the arrow went, pew, and I couldn't tell if it hit her in the bottom of the belly or just went through the long fur that they have this time of the year, but it was a bad shot. And I look at my bow, and there is a twig, those little green twigs of spruce stuck between the wheel and the string.
Bernie, you're kidding.
No.
This is 3 arrows.
She runs off. I got 1 arrow left. She takes off, and the other bear comes back in, and he just lays down there because she's gone now.
Now, what bear is this now? We got
This
another
is
bear.
that 200-pounder
The male.
the male that had been circling around.
So he's on the bait now.
So he's on the bait.
One arrow.
And he's laying there, facing right toward, and this is the arrow that I shot at the sow that went through her, turns out. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I'm looking at him going, that's a pretty nice bear. And I took my camera and I rolled back the shot. Twice I looked at this shot of this sow and I'm like, I can't tell if that hit her or not.
Oh, because you don't know if you could shoot another bear and you'll have 2 dead bears.
I'm thinking if I shoot him and then I go down there and there's blood on this other arrow, then what do I do?
Yeah.
Saying?
Right.
So finally, it was like 10 minutes before dark, and he's still right there. And I mean, he's a really nice bear. He's got a beautiful pelt on him, and I'm just going, I can't shoot him. So I just start packing my cameras and everything like that, put my backpack on, grab my bow, turn around, and the sow walks in.
The same one.
Same one. She walks in and chases him off.
Oh, you're kidding.
Not kidding. Absolutely not kidding. And by this time, of course, I got all my stuff packed up, and I'm like, you know what? And I started climbing down, and she literally watched me get halfway to the ground before she left. And so I went over and checked the arrow, and there's no blood on the arrow. And I pulled the card out of the camera, because a lot of this has got to be on the trail camera, you know. And then when I finally got back to the truck, I started heading down, and I only went about a mile, and this bull moose is in the road in front of me. And they just run down the road in front of you. And I slowed way down, and he turned and went into bushes. And then as I was about to go by him, he jumps back out of the bushes and just misses my front bumper by 6 feet. And runs down the road in front of me a ways, and finally I just backed way off, and he went into the bushes. Well, then I get to number about 24, 25, and I almost hit a bear in the road. And then all of a sudden there's a cow moose in the road in front of me, and she's running down the road. And so I slowed way down, and then she went into the bushes, and I sped up to go by her, and she jumped out of the bushes and crashed into the side of my truck.
She hit your truck. She physically hit your truck.
She hit my truck. I don't know if she broke my mirror off or dented my door. I'll have to go out there and look and see in the daylight. But
This is kind of hard to believe, all this, Bernie. I mean, all your life you've been doing this, and this is
the most
incredible.
bizarre, absolutely bizarre night of bear hunting that I've ever had in my life, and I've hunted bears a lot. So, yeah.
Looks like you
now
got
I gotta
trophy for the wall. You got trophy for the wall.
What do you have for arrows left?
I got one arrow left, but I mean,
Do you have your other knocks and your other ones? Can you put them back together?
I could put them back together.
But did you get the knocks? I mean,
That's
there's
the Knox, yeah. Yeah, one of them I found, and the other one was still stuck to the string, of course, because when it pulled out.
You're lucky the boat didn't derail. You know, when that.
They're real small, like sprigs of
Right.
But I know
But
I've had
sometimes
them.
you get that twig in there, and
It doesn't take
it's
much
gonna
to
take-
derail it.
Not when you're full draw, because you're only holding 6-7 pounds. It doesn't take a lot to
Yeah.
flip that off.
Bernie. This is a story. It's hard to believe.
Yeah,
I mean-
got most of it on video, so
Wow, that's going to take a while to digest this.
so
This is
usually,
Jay.
like you don't know me. You guys have just meet me. It's usually not like this. I'm actually a pretty normal guy most of the time.
Well, you got good penetration through your log here. I'm not the anatomy hunter, but I'm telling you, you got good penetration.
Looks like a
You know what?
3-pounder.
I think you got the lumps. I think that's the lumps.
I'd say it's almost a pass through.
I don't think
got a different wind. The wind is going that way and the bait is that way, so we got a much better wind, although it's swirling and it's light, variable. We had rain, and then it kind of, a few peaks of blue sky came through, and now it's pretty much overcast again. But this branch that you see right here now, it was the one that was hanging out over me and got twigs in my string of the cam, so I bent it around and wedged it back in here so it's out of the way now, so I don't have to worry about that happening again. I really wasn't going to come back here tonight. I was going to just let it rest for a night, but we got a lot of baits just with sows and cubs and yearlings on it, and the 2 guys that just came in from southern Wisconsin last night, they picked the stands with the better bears on them, and so that left me with the choice of a few of the stands that just have yearlings or sows with cubs and nothing really to get excited about. So I just decided to come back here and give it a whirl again. I checked the camera, and that big sow came back in 15 minutes after I left. She just moved off when I was halfway down the ladder of this ladder stand. So she wasn't very bad spooked, and then she just turned and came right back in 15 minutes later. So and then she came back in at 3 o'clock in the morning, and so she's due this evening again. Just really a beautiful day to be in the woods, and we got several bears on this bait, so I guess we got an opportunity. The one thing that's different with it's been so windy the last couple days that I haven't worried about mosquitoes or gnats or black flies or anything, and man, that's different today, because I lit the thermocell just as soon as I got in the stand, and it's just now starting to take effect, because man, the flies are just buzzing all around my head. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be on the whole time I'm here tonight. I just saw a black spot move through the bushes up in there. There's a bunch of spruces, and I just saw a black spot move through an opening, and so I got the cameras turned on and got everything ready, and then boy, he gave me a broadside shot, and I drew, and then he was just slightly quartering towards me when I shot. But the weird thing is, when he crashed off, it sounded like he ran for a really short distance, and then I didn't hear anything. So I don't know if he ran for like 20, 30 yards and then walked, which they sometimes do, or if he fell right there. But the thing to do right now, 8:26, so I got a little less than an hour of legal shooting light left. I'm going to go look at the arrow, and from where the arrow is, I can see up under those spruces and I might be able to see something. So that's what I'm going to do, and we'll see what happens here. So I looked at the shot, reviewed the footage on the camera, and it's a pretty small screen, but the shot actually looked a little bit lower than I was aiming, maybe 4 inches lower than I was aiming, and pretty low on the body. Okay, this literally cannot get any crazier. It was a clean miss. There's not a speck of blood on the arrow. From end to end, there's no blood on the arrow. And look at the knock. It is pushed all the way down inside the arrow. They sent me a bunch of them to try, and I've been using them, and I've killed some deer and bear with them. But this hunt, they just are bonkers. It's literally pushed all the way, I don't know if you can see that. It's literally pushed all the way down inside the arrow shaft. Now, I don't think that bear's coming back. Maybe a different will come in. I got 45 minutes left. That is... Sometimes you think maybe things just weren't meant to be. That's how it ends right there. End of legal shooting light with a 300-pound bear in front of me. And he just never turned quite broadside enough. Unreal. I gotta figure out how to get out of here. There's another bear off to my left, too. Does that look familiar? I'm telling you, it's never ending. Seems like it's 4 o'clock right now, and I didn't see any bears till 6 o'clock last night, and this rain is supposed to continue steady for the rest of the day and through the night. But I got rain gear, and I'm going to go in there and check it out and sit there for the rest of the evening. Tonight, the end of legal shooting light is 9:20. And with this heavy overcast, I'd be surprised if you can get much past 9 o'clock for good light. And, you know, bears don't move much in the rain, but we're going to go in there and grind it out, because there's still multiple big bears on this bait. And I saw a bear that I thought was a chocolate, but I didn't have any daylight pictures of him early on, like a week ago. And then I just ran in there, snuck in, got the card, and I was kind of giving up on thinking that there was something other than black in there. I thought I must be just seeing things, because, you know, when you got black flash camera, you can't tell what color it is. It's just either black or it looks like it's not black. Well, I went in there and got the card, brought it out, and just put it in my laptop, and there is a black one and a non-black one in the same picture at the same time. So now I know for sure that there is a color phase bear on this bait, but I have exactly 0 daylight pictures of him in 11 days of having this bait out. So 2 days in a row I had to sneak out of the stand with a shooter bear on the bait. And that's a great big honking sow in there, and I spooked her off the night before last, and then last night I had a 300+ pound bear on the bait and had to crawl down and spook him off the bait. Really, really frustrating what's happened here with the arrows and the nocks and all of the crazy stuff. When I shot last night, the shot felt good, and it looked like the arrow just kind of went low, which it looked weird to me. And it wasn't until I got back and reviewed the footage that it was really clear that the arrow just dived, and it, instead of, 16 yards, it should be almost perfectly straight. This arrow just dived at the last minute, and that's why it looked like I had a good hit on the bear, till all of a sudden I went down there and saw that the nock was completely pushed up into the arrow shaft, and there was no blood on the arrow. And then I went back, and where I could look at the footage on a computer rather than on that little bitty screen on the camera, well, then it was pretty obvious that it was just a clean miss. And then I had that great big one. He was there for 25 minutes. A couple times he turned just enough that I would have had a pretty good shot. It was a little bit quartering towards me, but normally I would be like, I can thread an arrow right in there. But after you picked a broadhead out of the dirt for 2 days in a row, it's pretty hard to have confidence in your ability to make a really specific, tight shot. And so I did not take the shot, and then I had to spook him off the bait. Well, I got a surprise for you today, because I've decided to do something completely different. Jason shot his bear last night, real nice bear, 240 pounds, with the crossbow made by Gearhead Archery Company. And Skip Peterson is the owner of Gearhead Archery. He's hunting with us, and he offered me, he said, would you like to take this crossbow in there since you're having so much trouble, arrows and nocks and stuff? And I'm like, I would love to just take this bow home and throw these nocks away and start over with new lighted nocks. So he's like, well, let me show you how to use this crossbow. So I'll just roll that right now.
All right, so this is the X16 crossbow. It's a target version. We also make a tactical one that splits in half. It's much easier to pack. But we can put 3 different rests on here. This one just happens to have a whisker biscuit on it. You can also put a Bowdoodle, and then there's another brand we can put on there too. You can paper tune this crossbow, so I can move my rests left to right, up and down, type of a thing. But what we did is, on traditional crossbows, they run the cock feather down, and when they do that, you have to push your cables down for clearance, where we brought the whole system higher with the cock feather up. Okay. And if you look at the strength of your cables, there's not a lot of pressure on that, so you get better cable life and string wear with that. And then to cock it, you can use your hands, you can rope cock it. There's also another option where you can use a crank cock on there. But we designed it where it's just got a really nice draw cycle to draw it back. You can just kind of lift this back and just cock it, like so. And now that even though it's cocked, there's still not pressure on your crossover cables. And then they put a crazy scope on here. This is
unreal.
This scope is amazing. I'm going to be putting it on more crossbows, but it records, they say in 4K, and it's 3 to 15 power, or 3 to 14 power, and it's all digitized. So there's 2 different focus things. You focus your eyepiece, then you focus what you're aiming at. This is just a sun thing, so it's really not as long as it looks. This is just to kind of keep the sun the way it is. And then this rotates for your eye, so you can kind of...
I can use that with my glasses.
Yeah, you can kind of get right in it and just kind of, see what it is. But that's kind of how it is, how it shoots, and it shoots 375 feet per second. I know it's not one of the fastest ones on the market, but I'd rather shoot a little slower and have no problems than to shoot something fast and have to replace things and just you're worried about limbs breaking and things like that. So that's kind of what we did on that. So you want to try it?
Let's go shoot it.
Okay.
And then, as you can see, I went out and practiced a few shots with it and felt pretty confident in it. And the scope that's on this thing's crazy cool. It has got, it's really good low light, but it's also got night vision, which I won't need, of course, but it videos in 1080p, so I'll be able to video a shot with the actual scope, and that's pretty cool. So anyway, I have got this crossbow with me tonight, and that's what I'm planning to hunt with, and I'm going to be taking it in there and sitting in the rain until a bear comes or until it gets dark in 5.5 hours. So wish me luck, I guess. Well, what do you know? It's raining this morning. Surprise, surprise. So I am on my way out to pull stands and cameras and head for home. Last night was just absolutely brutal. It was just a steady drone of rain for 4 hours, and then the wind came up, and I was sitting there just having, it was just horrible. And I kept staying because I kept telling myself, hey, what are you going to feel like if you leave early and then the bears come in 10 minutes after you leave, and you check the card tomorrow and find out that you missed your opportunity? Well, I got to the point where I just didn't care, and so I got out about 45 minutes early, and then when I was about, 10 miles down the road to where the other guys were hunting, found out they were out too already, so that made me feel a little better. But I'm going to pull everything out of the woods today and head for home this afternoon. I'm going to try to get this all done in 4 or 5 hours and then hopefully be home before dark. But the good news is there's still a chance, because my tag is good through the end of the spring season. I think it's actually good in the fall too, I'm not sure, but the spring season still goes on here for another month, and there's a chance I might be able to get back up here. My schedule's pretty full, but haven't completely given up on that. Well, we do have Jason's hunt that I'm going to be showing you, and it was an interesting shot that he made, and we analyzed the wound channel on the bear, and Brian took the lungs out and showed everything exactly where the bear was hit. And it's pretty cool because you would look at that shot and not think that it was a double lung shot, because it was pretty high and a little bit back, but he actually nicked one lung and got the other one really good. The bear only went 40 yards. We're going to see all that in another video, and then you're actually going to see where they took the lungs out and showed exactly where the arrow path went. But here at the end of this video, I think I'm just going to roll some photos and trail camera videos, and so you can just enjoy them. I got a lot of good trail camera photos and videos of bears, and it's pretty interesting. Maybe I'll put a little music with it or something for you, just so you can enjoy watching it, and that's how we'll close this out. So I really want to thank you for watching these videos, for hitting a like and leaving a comment. It really does help grow the channel. It means a lot to me. So it's pretty bizarre that I had all the shots that I did and the opportunities, and I'm going home without a bear. I can hardly believe it, but some hunts are just like that, so whatever, I guess. But we will see you on the next video.
I did not spot him. Dad spotted him on the left, lower left of us in a little valley.
How far away? Oh. Should I shut up, Daryl?
No, you're good.
How far away was it when we spotted him?
Why don't you get in there?
I want to say 30 to 45.
He's 50 yards.
Oh, he's 50 yards.
Sounds better.
Yeah, 30 to 60
Since
yards.
we don't know,
somewhere in
we're gonna make it sound good.
there. And then he came up to about 20.
Well, right off the bat, when he came in, he stopped, and the head goes up.
Well, if I shot him at 15, he was probably about
No,
20.
but when we first saw him,
Yeah,
he was at 50, and his nose goes up. He caught us, then he went down. He goes away, and he turns around. Well, you keep going.
Yeah, I got to tell this. So he comes up. He's,
Little excited.
He comes up, starts working his way. He's got a path or something, and then his head goes up. And when it went up, I had at the same time clicked the safe or
You put it on fire.
yeah, put it on fire, and I thought, oh, and maybe that was it, but it was clearly
No,
the
no, the
smell.
nose went up. No,
So he just started slow, and everything he did was very slow and methodical.
real slow.
So he backtracked, and then we watched him go on out to the right, and that was it. And I asked, "Do you
Yeah,
think
but he turned around and came towards us.
and they
and he
stopped,
turned
but that
around
was
and then
kind
he
of
went
it. He was
back.
like, something's wrong.
And then
I'm
he
gonna
went
go
here,
off.
then he'd look at us. Oh, he kept doing that nonstop.
But then he left, and I was like, do you think he'll come back? And you weren't so...
I said
surprised.
no.
Yeah. So he goes
But
out.
that was like 15 minutes after he was gone, too.
What's crazy is he went out to the right. So we're like, okay. And next thing you know, about 15 minutes later,
Well, or longer, yeah.
Or longer.
Half hour, yeah.
on my direct left,
All of a sudden, there he was.
he's like, look. And there's this, for my eyes, this black, like, ball spot.
and he
thing.
looked real tall and skinny. He looked real super tall. Looked like
He was like mass,
Yeah.
black mass. And so he's just, this bear clearly wants to get back to his bait.
But he was
So-
actually turning, walking away. He'd
He
come
was
towards
walking
us,
away.
and he'd work
So
away. We
why
didn't see that.
We don't know why he turned, but thank God he did, because he was going away from us on the left, and he turned around and then went down back in that valley.
And I didn't want him to go down because then I know he's going to come up face us. I was hoping he's going to keep coming in from the side.
Well, he went all the way
didn't.
back to the first part that
He
we
started
saw him.
all over again, a
Yep,
complete
he started
circle.
all over. And he came back up right where we wanted him. And the cool thing is he came up, slowly worked towards the bait, and he was facing right on,
Looking right on.
looking right on.
And we were,
and then
stand, we had a little, there's no wind, but for some reason the stand was vibrating. Why was that stand vibrating?
full time.
But I was shaking more than Jason.
At
when I get
first.
the shivers and the colds, I just
yeah,
started
yeah.
convulsing.
The GoPro that's in the front is starting to do this. But then the
And
second
then I
time,
could hear you breathing.
it's waiting. And at this point, I'm looking right through the scope, and I can see it so clear. I was thinking, man, if he doesn't turn, I'm really tempted to just try to hit him through, right through there. But then you anticipated he's going to turn, and when he did, I already had the scope on him. And he turned, and about a second after you're like, I was like ready. I don't want to do this
I
again.
said it a little too loud and fast. Shoot now. He was perfectly broadside.
But he didn't bolt. Yeah, I had like a second, and I aimed above the that corner of the arm, and I definitely aimed a little high. And I think when I shot, I definitely went probably an inch or two higher.
And I said you shot high and back, and it looks like the hole is high and forward. Looks like you just missed the shoulder
Which,
blade. We'll
when
find
we
out.
had been practicing, I shoot high and to the right. So there's
So
a-
do I, with Randy's bow excited in.
And that's
fuck
it.
high to the right every time.
And I think when it's like, do it now, you just
Oh,
punch it.
you see, that's the hunting situations is different.
Yep.
He turned. That was it. Now.
Well, so then you hit it high, and for a second, I think we were both like, did it happen? And then he runs off, and then you're like, wait, is that the death mode? And then all of a sudden, it's just, and it's just terrible. But it's loud, and
It's a terrible sound,
But you
it's
know.
a great sound. We got him.
I mean, it was like, like, there's no question now. And then we went down thinking, I thought he was going to go way up, but he only went 40 yards.
40 yards.
40 yards.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, let's go get him,
Blood-
guys.
blood was
Let's
thrilled.
go.
Let's go.
You can know this one good because we baited. Yep. Yeah, you can film whenever you get to.
Yeah, see the knot down there?
Oh my gosh, there's that. Wait, stop. Let's see if I can zoom in on that. Do you have any blood to show me?
Yes, great blood right towards the end.
All right.
I don't know the rest of the way with you. Yeah, we can look around here for blood, Daryl, when he ran down here, if you see any right away or not. Because it was too dark for us to see.
So then we were here, and then he's like,
Yeah,
look.
Jay, part of this is what the blood trail was, so we should look for blood pretty good. That's on the left side. That would be the entrance side, I would guess. That was on the entrance side, that blood there. Do we see
Yeah, there
anything
should be
else?
a lot of blood shooting out the far side, boy.
Now we get into the cedar swamp.
Yeah, so
boy. Yeah.
this part isn't the most fun.
No. I've got the easy way to get out, Mark.
I don't think he's gonna go far.
I don't think so at all. Oh yeah, there you go. There's some.
Oh, lots of blood here. What do we got there?
Look at that. Go take a look at it. Oh, you try to get out of there without dying.
Oh, he's beautiful. He's absolutely beautiful.
Smokes.
Oh my goodness.
Look at that.
Look at the size of him. I can tell you the ones I shot. This guy is way bigger.
Isn't that something?
That's a nice bear.
That is a nice bear.
Congratulations. Oh my gosh.
And he's all balled up too.
Yeah.
Everyone, yeah, way to go.
Because we're tripping and stuff, so get your feet in front of you.
1, 2, 3.
All right, we're gonna go to the left. 2, 1, left. Oh yeah. All right, now we all get them as a ball. 3, 2, 1.
Thank you, Jake.
See, I told you I could do it.
3, 2, 1. Yeah, okay. Let's get a breather.
I see the truck.
And the moon. So close.
Hold.
Even though the arrow entered high and slightly forward of center, it exited in the center of the bear. Despite the fact that the shot was high, it nicked the top of the near side lung and penetrated the far side lung, and the bear only went a short distance and expired within seconds. We will do a lot more information on analyzing this shot and many other shots on bears and deer with the Anatomy Hunter in future videos, but because of proprietary information, we can't give out too much at this time. But stay tuned, we got a lot more of this type of thing coming. Other people get their bears, I am headed to Ontario to hopefully get my own bear. So after the hunt was over and I got all the work done of getting all the barrels and trail cameras and everything out of the woods, I went home for a few days and actually was able to do a little deer hunting with my grandson Skylar, who has an archery deer tag. He just turned 12 and he's trying to get his first deer, and we saw a few deer from the ground blind on my food plot and just did not get a shot that he was comfortable with. His maximum range is about 20 yards, and we had a buck at about 28 yards, and it didn't stop. I probably could have stopped it, but I just felt like that's outside of his maximum range at this point. But he's going to keep practicing, and we hunted 2 evenings and saw a lot of deer, but just did not get a shot. So when I get home from Ontario, I'm going to keep working with him, and he hopefully continues to practice with his bow and increase the weight on it and everything. So hopefully we'll be able to get him a deer. But back to bears. So I left home this morning at 5 o'clock and drove up to bear camp and got everything loaded, and it's 2 hours up to bear camp, and then from there, I had to get a bunch of hunting equipment and load up the barrels, and I've got 4 buckets of Gold Rush and 2 barrels of trail mix, and I've done all the paperwork and everything to get the export permit so I can get the trail mix. Holy smokes, the lighting's just horrible in here, sorry about that. But I've done all the paperwork and paid the fees with a broker to get all the trail mix across the border. So I got everything I need, and should be able to be in Camp Quetico at about, early afternoon, between 1 and 2. And from that point, I will just head out into the woods, and I'm going to try to get 2 baits out yet this afternoon. I got 2 stands that I left up here in the spring, and then I've also got 1 hang-on stand with me and a set of sticks in case I need to kind of do a last-minute kind of hang and hunt or whatever. So I am headed up into the Atikokan area of Ontario. I got a permit to hunt a bear that I had since spring and did not get one in the spring. It's still good in the fall. So also threw in some fishing equipment, probably do a little fishing while I'm here if I have time, but my number 1 priority is to try to get an Ontario bear. So thanks a lot for following along on this. This is a continuation of the spring bear vlog. It's now the fall bear vlog. So I'm looking forward to hunting for myself and getting some time in the woods alone, which gets pretty important to me this time of the year after you know, all the pressure of having a lot of people, a camp full of people, and you know, there's a fair amount of stress that comes with trying to make sure everybody gets a chance to shoot a bear. And this one's pretty low stress, so we'll see you when we get in the woods. So I'm in Fort Frances. I just went through the border, and the girl who checked me in, looked at my passport and everything at the gate. She had this puzzled look on her face when I told her I'm bringing bear bait in and I have the paperwork. But then she filled out the little orange sheet and told me to pull in over there. So I go in, I take in the paperwork for taking the bait across the border. And the guy behind the window says, well, what do you got? I said, bear bait. And he said, how much bear bait are you bringing in? I said, just 2 barrels. And he said, you got a broker just for that? And I'm like, ah! Every time you go through the border, it's different depending on what people are there and which border crossing you go through. It is absolutely bizarre how crazy it is to try to get bear bait across the border. The interesting thing is that if you've done the research on what you can and can't take across the border and the things that you can do and cannot do in Canada, you probably know more than the people who are standing behind that window. And that has proven to be true over and over and over again in the probably 100 times that I've gone across the border into Canada to go hunting and fishing. It is absolutely nuts how ridiculous it is. It's a circus every time. But anyway, I paid an extra $112 to go through a broker to register the bait and provide all the information so I could go through the border. They stamped it, and I'm on my way to Camp Quetico, and I'm going to try to get some of this bait out this afternoon. But it is quite a saga. Alright, I'm at the place where I'm going to leave my trailer for right now. It is a really rough road coming back in here. About 40 kilometers, and I've got another almost 30 kilometers to go, which I'm going to do on a side-by-side. I think my trailer will be okay parked in this little opening in the bush here. But man, the road is really rough coming in here. It's way worse than it was in the spring. The washboards are really bad, slow going, so it just makes sense to do as much of it as possible with the side-by-side. So I got settled into the camp and got my stuff in the cabin. It's a really nice cabin. It'll be a really nice place to spend the week, and I'm looking forward to getting a couple of baits out here before dark and maybe even doing a little fishing on the way back. But the #1 priority here is to go get 2 baits out, get the cameras on them, and hopefully we'll get some bears going pretty quick. So here we go. All right, bait #1 is done and ready, and I gotta tell you, I'm really surprised that there is trails beat down coming in here. They weren't like this in the spring, so it's pretty obvious to me that the bears have been checking back on this all summer. They haven't been rewarded with anything to eat, so I don't know how often they're still checking, but we got a lot of good scent in the air. And the wind direction is blowing towards this swampy area up here, so it's ideal right now. I got a lake down there. I don't know if you can see it. I can maybe hold this up so you can see there's a lake there, and this is kind of a narrow neck down area between two lakes and then a swamp up here. And it's just a natural place for the bears to find the bait pretty quickly, so pretty optimistic about this. Geez, I love this stuff. It's so much fun. Well, these are the berries that they're feeding on right now. There's all kinds of piles of scat in the road with these berries in it, and they've actually completely knocked this tree down to get to the berries. Let's go look at the base of it. Now that's fresh. They just bent this tree over so they could get to these berries. All right, this is the location of that complete fiasco that I experienced this spring. And if you haven't watched those vlogs, you really need to go back and watch them. It's a little embarrassing, but yeah, so this is the spot where all that happened. And that right back there is the tree where the stand goes. And I'm going to go check because there should be a ladder stand laying on the ground. Right there. So that's good. I'm going to show you these trails. So these trails have continued to be used. You can look at that one right there. There's one right over here. This trail right here. These are the main trails that the bears were using when they approached the bait in the spring. And it looks to me like they just keep checking back here. So this is pretty exciting. Can't wait. I'm gonna go get some bait and get this thing baited up and scented up and let the Gold Rush work its magic. All right, we'll let this Gold Rush do its thing. And then it's a half an hour back to the truck and then about an hour back to the camp. From there it's 4:30. So I'm getting out of here at a good time. Guys, here's more of these berries. I think they're mountain ash, and if you know the answer to that, if I'm correct on that or not, let me know in the comments. If they are mountain ash, then I will tell you that they are, where we're at is got to be the far northwest corner, farthest north, farthest west of where they're actually found, because they're more of an eastern plant. but I haven't known them to be a preferred bear food, but they are everywhere right now in the bear scat, on the road, on the trails. Every bear scat I've seen has some in it. That's what the bears are eating, and if it's not a preferred bear food, then that means they're eating it because there isn't any preferred foods out there, which is good for getting them on the baits, I guess. But if you know the answer to what kind of a plant it is, first of all, if I'm right or wrong, or if you know whether or not it is actually used by bears a lot or preferred, then let me know in the comments below. I'd really like to learn more about this. Day 2. It is about 10 minutes to 10, so we're right on time. I should be at the first bait about 10:20, so that'd be about right. And I'm gonna hit them with Northwood's blueberry spray and check each of them and see what we got going. I'm gonna put a stand up if the baits have been hit. Another beautiful day in the Northwoods. We got ideal weather here coming. Supposed to be high in the 60s today, but then high in the 70s the next few days. Leaves are really turning. It's just beautiful here right now. Let's hit the dusty trail. Doesn't look hit. Alright, the first bait doesn't look like it's been hit at all. I pulled the card on the camera anyway. And I'll have a look just in case anything came by. Sometimes they pick and nibble at the edges the first time they get there, and then they dive right in after a day or so. Off to the second bait. Yeah, it doesn't look hit at all. Don't see any sign of any bears. But I'm going to pull the card in the camera anyway. Well, I wasn't expecting this turn of events. I am at the Ministry of Natural Resources in Atikokan. And I got stopped out on the road coming out from where I'm baiting, and I could not produce a bear tag. I had all the other paperwork, the outdoors card, the list of all of the things that I have, which included a printout that says I have a bear tag, and then also the sheet that the outfitter gives you. I had everything but the actual tag, and so fortunately I was not going to hunt. I was coming back out of the woods when I got stopped. So I went to the Natural Resources Department here in Atikokan, and it's just 30 minutes each way out of my way, and took a few minutes, and they printed me a duplicate. So I am finally legal, and I'm telling you, I'm really glad he stopped me before I shot a bear, because I could not find the tag. I don't know what happened to it. I had all the other paperwork in the pouch in the pocket that I use in my backpack to keep all the licenses, but you wouldn't think getting stopped by a game warden is a good thing, but in this case, I'm really glad he stopped me when he did. Well, it's an interesting way to start off day 3 here. It's just a beautiful morning again. It's supposed to be really nice weather today. The sun's just coming up across the lake, and I've been just downloading videos that I've shot over the last couple days to get ready to put out a vlog here, but I'm not sure how this is going to affect the next few days, but my sister passed away last night. She's been battling cancer for over a year, and she was put in the hospital a couple days ago, and then they were talking about hospice after she got out of the hospital, but then she passed away in the hospital. So fortunately they were able to call her kids, and her kids flew down to Phoenix from, like, they're scattered all over, but mostly in Washington State, and they flew down and were able to see her and be at her side when she died. So she's a year younger than me. I also lost a sister that's a year older than me to cancer. She was 38 when she died of cancer. And so I'm down to 3 sisters and 1 brother left. And my dad is still alive. But there's a lot of cancer in the women. My mom died of cancer too. The women in my family have struggled with cancer way more even than, you know, I'm a cancer survivor too. But so I don't think that's going to affect this too much, other than I'm probably going to have to go to Phoenix for a service in maybe a week or so. So I'm going to have to rearrange a lot of the next couple of weeks of my hunting and so forth to accommodate a few days of flying down to Phoenix. But anyway, today I'm going to get out there and try to find a bear on one of these baits. I'm really looking forward to getting a bear on the bait, and I'm not going to be very selective. Obviously I don't want to shoot a sow with cubs or anything, but if I get a decent bear on the bait, I'm going to go after it right away. So finish downloading this video here for the next half hour or so, and then I'm going to head out and get into the woods. I'll see you there. All right, since I've got plenty of time here to burn, I'm going to mix business with pleasure here this morning when I'm going out to check these baits. I've got some tackle and a couple of rods and reels along, and I've got time to stop at a few places. There's actually quite a few places where there's streams that cross the road, and also just places where the road goes along a lake shore, and I'm just going to stop and make a few casts in a few places and see what happens. Caught a few fish yesterday doing that. I didn't stop at very many, but I did catch a couple smallmouth bass and a couple small northerns, and we're just going to see what happens here this morning. I'm going to take it easy and just get these baits checked, and hopefully at least one of them's hit, so I have something to go on here. Man, it's just stunning weather for the end of September. It's supposed to get up in the upper 70s today, and just look around here. Mixing business with pleasure, bear baiting with fishing. Oh yeah. Well, what have we here? We have a bait that's been hit. Okay. Oh my God, look at that. That's fresh. All right. The bear that hit this bait is really close by, so I'm going to go back and look at the trail camera pictures and see what we got here. Give this a shot. A blueberry. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Okay, so we got a sow that found the bait about an hour after dark last night. She came back twice during the night and then came back the last time at 5:13 this morning, so she'll probably be back in here during the day. I would have to hang and hunt for this bear. It's a pretty nice bear for a sow. It's got a nice V on her chest, but I'm looking at, yeah, it's a maybe at this point, I would say. I'm going to go check the other bait, and we'll see what the other bait looks like before I make a decision. But this is, the good news is that once a bear finds a bait, usually multiple bears will find it in a fairly short time. Man, they are so hyper aware of what's going on around them that when another bear is on a bait, it's feeding well, it's eating well, it's getting the smells on it, they really figure it out in a hurry. So I'm not anxious to go in there and just try to shoot her, but this is really good news for this bait. Well, something's been here. Well, I got 129 pictures of squirrels and birds and ravens and rabbits and a moose. And I don't know what moved that one log and ate some of the bait. Could have been that moose maybe, I don't know, but sometime during the night that log was moved and some of the bait has been eaten, and we don't have a bear on trail camera in here, so I have to decide what to do about that bear at the other one. Decisions. And I guess we will let you know on the next video. See you then. Well, I suppose I better bring you up to speed from the last video. I got a nice bear on the one bait, and it's a sow. It's a really fat sow. She definitely would not be that fat if she had cubs, so when she comes back I don't expect her to have cubs with her. She's been back twice, and I expect she'll come back again this afternoon, but I'm just going to hold off for one more day, and I want to wait and see what happens on the other bait, and then just see also if she attracts more bears to that bait. So I'm going to give it one more day, and then if I don't have any other bears on the bait, I'm going to seriously consider shooting her, or trying to shoot her, tomorrow. And it will depend on the wind direction, but tell you what I'm really thinking about doing is something I've only done a couple times in my life, and that is just building a quick natural ground blind out of the vegetation that I can find right in that area, branches and so forth, and then just sit on a bucket 20 yards from the bait and try to shoot her off the ground. That's a real challenge, and especially to get it on video, but if I end up trying for her, that's probably how I'm going to do it. I ended up fishing quite a few spots along this forest road where I could kind of bushwhack my way down to the lakes, or if there's a bridge where a guy can kind of get down there to fish, and didn't catch much. I did catch a real nice northern pike at one spot. It was probably about 32 inches, 10 pounds I think. It was a pretty chunky pike, but other than that, that's all I caught. I'm probably going to go fishing again in the morning. I've been thinking about hiring a guide here and having a traditional shore lunch, something I really enjoy and almost never do, and they've got guides going out every day here at the Camp Quetico Resort, so they typically go out about 7:30 in the morning, come back about 5 in the afternoon, but I think I'll just have a guide drop me off at 1 or 2 o'clock, so I got plenty of time to get out and quickly check the baits and then decide what to do from there. So I haven't decided for sure yet, but seriously considering that. So I gotta kind of get things organized for tomorrow here and get things closed up. Welcome to day 4. It is another beautiful morning here on the Canadian Shield, and another day of unseasonably mild weather. It's supposed to get into the upper 70s today, and I have a plan for today. The plan is this: I'm going fishing this morning with a guide from the resort, and we're going to have a shore lunch, and because we are about 45 minutes from the resort in the direction that I want to go, I drove up in here to meet the guide here, and then we're going to come in a couple hours early, right after shore lunch. We're coming in, and then I'll have a couple of hours to check baits, and my plan from there is that if the second bait is hit, I'll look at the cards and I'll decide I might just hang and hunt there depending on what bears we have on that bait. If not, I'll come back to the first bait, throw up a ground blind, and hunt that sow with the white V on her chest. That's the plan. So, not sure which it's going to be. Kind of going to be a fly by the seat of my pants kind of day, and I'm looking forward to spending some time on the water here in the morning, and then checking the trail cameras and the baits in the afternoon, and decide where to go park my butt for the evening hunt. So it should be a fun day, and maybe there'll be a bear at the end of it. Well, it looks pretty much just like it did yesterday. So I guess we'll check the camera and see what we got. Well, they've definitely been back. There's no bait gone again. Well, it's 3 o'clock and I need to get in a stand, except that unfortunately I've got a dilemma. Actually, I got 2 dilemmas. The first thing is that this bait where I have the bear that's hitting it regularly, unfortunately it has not showed up in the daylight yet. The second dilemma is that the other bait has, apparently a bear hit it, but I don't have any trail camera pictures of it. I got 165 pictures of ravens and squirrels and rabbits and so forth, but the bait has definitely been opened. There's quite a bit of trail mix gone. There's some good enough sized logs moved that it's not like a raven could do that. And there's no pictures of bears on the bait. So I have no idea what happened there. I was going to just pull the camera, and then I thought, you know, I got to give that bait one more day and try to figure out what's going on in there, and hopefully the camera will behave itself tonight and tomorrow until I get a chance to check it. So the other bait, that's what I'm really considering right now. That bear came back after dark again last night and left at 7 o'clock this morning, just after daylight. So I don't have any daylight pictures of that bear. So I guess one way to look at that on one hand is the bear's due to come back in the daylight. On the other hand, the first time you hunt a bait is your best chance. I don't want to go in there, and the wind is not great in there. I could probably get away with it based on the direction that I think the bear is coming from, but I just hate to screw it up. I'd really like the bear to come in one time during daylight and be rewarded with something good to eat and feel comfortable in there before the end of legal shooting light. You know, the other part of that dilemma is that it's a sow, which I prefer not to shoot a sow, but it's not that big of a deal to me right now. It's the only bear that I really got going. It's a very nice big bear. I'm just really not in love with the idea of shooting the only bear that I've got on the baits right now, but I'm running out of time. You know, tomorrow's Friday. I got to go home I got a lot to do next week, so I really got to go home this weekend. So there's a part of me that just really wants to go in there, take a chance on it, and hunt that bear, because I think that that bear is due to come in before the end of legal shooting light. But on the other hand, it's 80 degrees right now, and it's almost October, and for it to be 80 degrees, these bears have a heavy layer of fat. They're putting on their winter fur, so I just feel like that really reduces the odds of that bear coming in until right after dark, and then I got to get out of a stand and sneak out of there, and I really run the risk of boogering the whole situation up. So I don't know, I guess I hate to just not hunt. I've been here, this is my 4th day here, and I still haven't even gotten a stand. But the reality is, you just have to wait till everything is right and then strike. And it's just not right. So I guess I'm not going to hunt again tonight. I mean, I know that that's the right thing to do, even though I really, really want to go in there and get in the stand and just enjoy an evening and maybe see a bear. But so I guess where I'm at right now is that if I don't have at least one bear in daylight on the cameras tomorrow, I'm probably just going to pull them and go home, and that way I can deer hunt with my grandson this weekend. Man, it would be good to be home. You know, I've been gone since the 10th of July. I haven't hardly been home at all, and here it is, almost October. So I guess we will see what tomorrow brings. So I thought I'd just share a couple things with you that aren't typically things that people think about with regard to bear hunting in new areas, I guess you could say. And one of the reasons I ended up in this area was a friend, Brian, had come across this situation and invited me to come along. And he was very excited about the fact that this area has not been hunted. And I've probably explained this to you before, but in Ontario you can buy a tag across the counter for bears, but you can't, if you're a non-resident, you can't just go hunt anywhere. You actually have to go through an outfitter and have him sign off on your declaration, and you have to hunt in his specific guided concession, where the province of Ontario is all divided up into sections where specific outfitters have the sole rights to hunt in certain areas. You have to go through an outfitter basically, even though you can buy a tag over the counter. Like in a lot of other provinces, you actually buy your tag from the outfitter. So Ontario is a little different in that way. So anyway, this outfitter had said, yeah, I've got this area I haven't hunted for like 7 years. And boy, that sounds really good on the surface. There's really 3 components that need to be thought through. And the first of those, of course, is why is he no longer hunting it? And that has become pretty obvious, and it became obvious right away, and it's at the far end of his hunting area, and it's way back, it's 65 kilometers back on a very rough forest road. And so when you get out of the stand at dark, you're still 2 hours from the camp. And that's just not conducive to guiding or having to go track a bear, or, yeah, it's just tough, and that's why he doesn't come all the way back up here anymore. Well, that's not really a big deal, because, you know, I don't mind going way to the ends of the earth, kind of. You know, my guides laugh at me in Minnesota. They call me End of the Trail Bernie, because I like to get way out into those areas where, you know, a lot of people just won't go, and you're just not going to see anybody else up there, which is the case with this. You're just not going to see anyone else up there. So, but the other part of this is, most people, when they hear, well, this hasn't been hunted for 7 years, are like, ooh, yeah, you know. That might improve the age structure of the bears a little bit, having not been hunted, but overall, it's not necessarily a good thing. And here's the part 2 and 3 of this. Part two is that when you bait bears, the bear population goes up. Okay, more bears get through the winter in good shape, the survival rate is higher, the sows are eating better, they have more fat, so they're having more cubs, and when bears are being baited, the population of bears is just, it's higher. You would think that if they're being hunted, the population would be lower, but it's not. It's really the opposite. And so the fact that this hasn't been baited for 7 years probably means that there's not as many bears as there would be if it was being baited every year. And then part three to this is that once you have bears coming to a bait site, they've been rewarded there, they feel comfortable there, they know where the food is found from year to year. The more you use a bait site, the better they get. So the fact that it hasn't been baited for 7 years means the bears, they're not checking the bait sites, they're not familiar with them, they don't feel comfortable there, and it's harder. This is just a roundabout way of saying that while it seems like not having been hunted for 7 years is a good thing, it's probably not a benefit. And if I don't have a bear in the daylight or what looks like a killable bear, then it just probably makes sense to pull everything and go home. I got an awful lot to do at home now with my sister passing away. I'm going to have probably about a 3-day trip to Phoenix where I got to fly down there and back that I have to plug in somewhere in the next week or so here. I haven't heard a time of a service yet or anything, but that's going to take some days out of my schedule, so I need to get something done here or just pull the plug on it. We're going to hit the woods in about half an hour here. I just got to get my stuff gathered up and start heading up the dusty trail. Well, it looks pretty much just like it did yesterday. Well, this is not really what you wanted to see, but unfortunately on the one bait we didn't have a bear until midnight. And then on the other bait, there was definitely more trail mix gone, but the logs weren't moved anymore. And I got to really looking at it, and the smaller logs are the ones that have been moved, and the bigger ones haven't been moved. And it's hard for me to believe that a raven can move even a small log, but something moved those logs and did not get a picture taken, or else those ravens are able, I don't know. I mean, it seems crazy, but that's the only way I can explain it. So anyway, I got to head back to camp. I got everything loaded up here. I got to go get my stuff and check out of the cabin. And that's it for Ontario for the year. I sure had fun, though. Man, it's just beautiful up here. I love this country. Had good fishing. Really enjoyed running the baits and all that, and the scenery and just the overall experience, both spring and fall. But yeah, it's just not going to happen, and there's an awful lot of work waiting for me at home. So I guess those bears have not been watching this YouTube channel because they are not doing what bears are supposed to do. I had 2 bears on the one bait now, so second one showed up, but it was there at midnight, and then the other one was there at 5 to 6 to 7 in the morning. But all in all, I had a great trip. I'm really grateful that you joined me on this, and I'm sorry that there's not a bear at the end of it, but that's I guess that's the way it goes sometimes. So there's more videos coming. We will see you on the next video.